Hey guys, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2024. I hope you all had an incredible holiday season, New Year's, all the things. I'm just back to work this week. My daughter was off last week and the week before, so I figured why not start off 2024 by talking about something that can make so much difference in the results that you get in your performances and your auditions. And so I want you to really jumpstart this year and start on the right foot by starting to create what I call pre performance routines that are really effective, really powerful, and set you up for success from the get go. So, it's the beginning of the year. We're all full of New Year's resolutions. We're all full of, all the things that we want to set up for ourselves. And so I thought this would be a great topic so you could set yourself up right from the start. So, one of my favorite sayings is success favors the prepared. And that is true no matter what you're doing, whether you're singing, whether you're building a house, whether you're, climbing a mountain. Success favors the prepared. But when it comes to being prepared, what I've noticed and observed over the last 20 years of, saving singers' voices and careers is that most often singers think that being prepared is knowing their lyrics, being solid on the melody, having rehearsed the song, gone through it over and over again. That's what I think the majority of singers out there think being prepared is. But what I want to tell you is that there is uh, another way to be prepared that brings so much more certainty, consistency, and reliability of success and outcome. And that involves pre performance routines. So, this topic actually kind of came to me because there was a singer who I was working with recently who his experience kind of gave me the idea for this topic because he had a really big opportunity in his performing career. And it was to open up for a larger act at a very well-known venue in his, part of the country where he is. And it was given to him kind of on the fly. It was like 2 days notice because the person who was supposed to open, I think, couldn't make it or something happened. And so he got this big opportunity 2 days before. And, so he was all excited and this and that and everything. And so he did the show. And after the show, we were doing our little post game. And he's like, I don't feel like I did my best because I didn't give myself and carve myself out what I needed beforehand in order to be the most successful and powerful when I stepped on that stage. So even when it came to the hour before the performance, he was like, I got so wrapped up, with the sound guys and the sound checks and the amps and the mics and, making sure everybody was on stage where they needed to be and everything was set up and everything. He's like, I didn't take any time to get my head in the game and to center myself. And so he, didn't sing things quite as well as I know he thought that he could and that he knows that he can. And, it wasn't a totally lost opportunity. It was actually a fantastic learning opportunity for him to understand that he needs certain things in order to be successful when he gets on that stage, and so do you. So why are pre-performance routines important? Because of just that. Number one, it creates a normalcy. So when you have a routine, a pre-performance routine that you do before you sing, no matter what, whether it's on stage in front of 1,000 people opening for a big artist, whether it's doing your practice warm-ups, whether it's going into the studio, when you have that routine for your skill set, for your mindset, for your technique, for your warm-up, what that does is it creates normalcy. Like it's just another day at the office. And what that does is it right sizes everything that you're about to do so that when you do have this big opportunity that could loom really large in your mindset and take you into some fear or some anxiety or some nerves, right? If you have a really efficient and regular routine when it comes to your voice, you're doing the same things before you get on that stage that you've done likely every day this week before you practiced, that you do every time you get on stage, that you do every time before you sing. And so it's just another day, because that routine, it regulates your stress level, because it kind of tricks you into, oh, this is what I do. This is what I do every day for my voice. So this is what I do before this show. And it kind of tricks your brain into thinking that it is like just another day at the office. And so all of the things that go into that, it right sizes what you're about to do. So it doesn't matter whether it's 200,000 people in Madison Square Garden or whether it's the same thing that you do before you practice each day in your own house. So that's number one, why pre-performance routines are really important, is because it sets up normalcy. Another reason is that it regulates your stress levels. And so we want to choose routines and rituals that lower your cortisol levels. So cortisol is the stress hormone. Cortisol is the thing that makes you sweat when you're nervous, that makes you feel short of breath, that makes you maybe tremble a little bit, that makes you forget things because you're in fight or flight. And fight or flight is basically survival mode, and you're no longer in touch with the regulatory systems of your body that keep you in flow instead of in fight. Okay, so we want to choose pre-performance routines that regulate stress levels and that lower cortisol. And I'm going to get into what some of these are in a minute. Okay, and so what I want to hit home for you, though, and I started to hit on this a minute ago, is that pre-performance routines are not just what you do right before you get on that stage or on the day of the show. They're also about examining your daily routines and rituals so that you set up a routine and a ritual for your voice, for your mindset, for your skill set, that then you do also on a day of the performance. And so you may have heard the saying, like if you're a sports fan, right, that the game is not won on the field. The game is not even won on that day of the game. The game is won on everything that team did leading up to stepping onto that field. And those are their pre-performance rituals. You see teams, they do the same thing. They warm up the same way. They do it daily. They do things for their skill set. They do things for their mindset, and you are no different. So when we're talking about pre-performance routines, we're not just talking about what happens that day or right before you step on stage. And there are good things for that too, which I'm going to share with you. But also to know that this is also about examining and setting up really powerful daily routines and rituals for yourself when it comes to the care of your voice and your body and your mindset. So if the routine that you have pre-performance on the day of the show is rooted in a daily practice that you have conditioned every week, every day, every month, then when you do that ritual right before you get on stage, what you're conditioning is regularity, is calmness, is flow, because those are the things that you do when you don't have a big show in that energy. So if you only, for example, if you only practice when you have a big show coming up, like I know singers who do this, and I'm not shaming here, we're just being real, right? Let's say you have a show in February and it's now January. I know singers who start to practice like 2 weeks before the show. So if you only practice and work on your technique when you have a big show or a big audition coming up, then you're missing a huge opportunity, because conditioning works best without the pressure of an outcome, without the pressure of that one audition, that one show, okay? And so daily conditioning, and when I talk about conditioning, what I'm talking about are your daily warm-ups, your daily technique practice, your daily mindset practice, whether it be daily breath exercises that you do. And it doesn't need to be a whole long drawn out thing. It can literally be 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour, okay? And if you are not setting that up on the daily, then what happens is, oh my gosh, so the show's in February and I start practicing 2 weeks before and now I'm in a scramble, because there's an outcome that I have to get. And so now my cortisol levels, my stress levels are higher. And your body is now responding to that instead of the technique that you actually know. You're now in fight or flight, and you're going to become part of a giant negative feedback loop where the mechanism of your technique and your instrument is responding to stress and fear and anxiety of this upcoming thing because you haven't been conditioning with these warm-ups rituals all along, and now you're in stress. And the outcome when your body's your instrument of being in stress is just never as good. It's never as good. It's why there's more nerves. It's why you lose your lyrics and you forget words, all of that. It's harder to connect with the audience because you want to prove, because you're just in this attachment to the outcome. Now, here's a question though. Do you have a daily practice that conditions your skill set and your mindset? Would you even know what to include in that practice? I mean, that's why we give our singers so much guidance in the intensive. The singers who come work and do our intensive, we're giving so much guidance in terms of what goes into that routine so that they know. And so what a powerful daily conditioning practice is for pre-performance routines, it should be something that conditions both your skill set, meaning your technique, your breath, your resonance, and conditions your mindset, helps you center yourself, helps you connect to your truth, your vulnerability, your essence, your honesty, right? And should be also something that you can do fairly regularly and fairly simply and quickly. Like I said, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour, okay? So examples of daily things to condition your skill set. Okay, and really what we're doing here is we're setting up a pre-performance routine that you will do, an hour or so before your show, but it's going to be way more powerful because you've been conditioning it all along. So it's not like these two giant separate things, okay? So daily things to condition your skill set would include daily practice to reinforce and condition your breath support, which would be hissing exercises, lip trills exercises. You guys know I'm huge on lip trills, okay? If you're not wondering, if you're new to me, what's a lip trill? That's a lip trill. You can Google my channel on YouTube and find lots of stuff on lip trills. So technique practice to condition your breath support, that's number one for conditioning your technique and your skill set, okay? Also to condition your resonance, which would be getting into that sensation of the best shape and placement of the inside of your mouth of the resonators. So that would be things like sirening. Yeah! That's a big old siren, right? Exercises like NGs. Na, na, na. Or yayas. Ya, 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 ya. Right? Things like that really condition shape and resonating space. Technique practice to condition consistency would be exercises where you're really focusing on your apoyo and your support and your opposition, which is the opposition between the energy that's flowing down and out through the muscles of your support and up and out the top of your head through the shape and space of your resonance. Those two things move in opposition from each other. And again, you can find lots of content on that on my YouTube channel if you're curious. So technique practice to condition skill set, which is resonance, breath, and consistency, as well as a practice to condition your alignment, your body alignment, because your body's your instrument. And if you're carrying old habits and tensions of use in your body, like let's say that you're here a lot, right? So for example, a wall sit, which would be like something that looks like this, which would be, I'm going to use this wall, a wall sit, where you put your back on the wall and then your your legs hips distance apart, and then your feet are about a foot away from the wall, and you sit. So I'm gonna, here, you can do this again so you can see me better. So it's, if I'm in profile, I'm going like this, right? But my back is on the wall and my shoulders are on the wall. And so I'm able to condition my core and my alignment by doing some lip trills on the wall. So that, you could also look and see what are your other body habits that might be getting in the way. It could be, tight hips, which then what do tight hips do? It takes your pelvis and it pulls you this way. And then you cut off all the breath in the lungs in your back. So, stretches for your psoas could be really powerful for that. So things that condition your alignment might be stretches in your neck if you're super tense in your neck, okay? So all these things are really important to be able to, and again, you can do this in 20 minutes, half an hour. It doesn't have to be like this whole thing, okay? Now, that's conditioning your skill set, but things to condition your mindset are also really, really important, if not more important, because as you know, your body is only ever responding to your mind. So things like a daily meditation could be 10 minutes, could be half an hour if you're somebody who can sit and enjoys that. But what a daily meditation does is it conditions present moment awareness, which is essential, essential for optimal vocal technique and the biggest impact that you can make on your audience. Because if your mind is future tripping, meaning stressed out about the high note coming up in a couple of bars, you're not in the moment with what you're doing, and you're in future fear, and your body is reacting to that, and you will not sound good, and you will lose the connection from your audience, and that high note isn't going to come out the way you want anyway because of that. That's the negative feedback loop of fear. Also, if you're stuck in the past, shaming, blaming, whatever for whatever didn't go well, if you're stuck in the last time you got rejected from an audition and all that stuff in your mind is now you're fixated on that, and then you show up into the audition or you show up into the performance, and now you've got something to prove because you're not in the present, you're stuck in the past, and so you need to prove that you're better, that you can get it, that you're good enough, and all the same things. Your body goes into force, make, do, push, manipulate, and all that technique that you otherwise know goes out the window. You don't make the best sound, you lose your connection with the audience because you're in your head. Again, past, future. Mind really wants to go to both of those places. Very rarely are we actually in the present moment with ourselves, with our body, and it is the most essential thing to learn if you want to have the most access to the most power of your instrument and your voice. So a daily meditation conditions present moment awareness by teaching you how to be present in the moment with yourself. And if you do it on the daily and you condition that skill, that awareness in your mind daily, then when it comes to doing it the day of a performance, you're going to be there with yourself. It's not going to be this weird thing that you do only before a performance, and it's not as powerful because you don't have a practice of it all along. Another thing that you can do to condition your mindset would be conditioning, celebrating all that you are in the form of what I call a brag book. This is something that is you writing down and bragging in a journal everything that is awesome, powerful, amazing, unique about you, so that you are connected to that, because we're so very, very good at looking at what isn't working, what we don't have, what's wrong, and society is very good at reminding us of all of that. And we're taught, not to claim and celebrate who we are and those wins. And if you're going to step out on that stage and be present and be in the most powerful version of yourself to create that connection with the audience, you need to remind yourself daily who you are, right? So one of the things, like when I'm doing brag book, is, some of you know I'm a mom, 31 hours of labor, no drugs. I did that. That's in my brag book. That's how strong and powerful I am, right? Like, I won the spelling bee in second grade when nobody thought I could do it. That could be in your brag book, okay? It doesn't have to do with singing. Just remind you who you are. Another daily mindset practice that's really good is a daily gratitude list. I know gratitude's kind of like a hot word, everybody's talking about gratitude, these days, but it's powerful because, again, we're so conditioned to look at what isn't working, what we don't have, what we're afraid to lose, all of the things, that we don't stop and look at how far we've come. Even gratitude for the moment, gratitude for those things. When I do gratitude almost every morning. And the first thing that I always come to is gratitude for my healthy body. Gratitude that I have control over my body, that I'm vital, vivacious, healthy, energetic, that I'm not dealing with disease or cancer or anything that, happens to people. Even just little things like that. It brings you back to you and what's important, and it right sizes whatever you're about to do on that stage. But if you don't have a daily practice of doing that in your mindset, it's really hard to just do it once right before you get on stage and have it be as powerful as it could be otherwise. So, I want to break this down for you in terms of like timing and time frames, right? So, let's say you have a big audition or a show that's coming up in a week, okay? So, let's say you've been conditioning these things all along. You have a really good pre-performance weekly daily practice for your technique, for your skill set, for your breath, for your resonance, for your consistency, for your mindset. Okay, now a couple things that you can add before, like the week before a show or an audition, that can be very powerful, is this is where the power of mental practice comes into play. So what mental practice is, just lie down, find a comfortable place to lie down, or you can do it sitting too. But I like to do it lying down and close my eyes. And what you do is you take yourself through the entire performance or the entire audition. So let's say you're doing a half-hour set, right? Let's say it's a 6-song set. So I'm going to take myself through that whole thing in my mind, from walking on stage to, let's say you're a guitar player, picking up my guitar, right? Like this is what my student who had that show where he got to open and didn't have a lot of time before, is what he didn't do. He was so caught up in all the logistics and the everything. He didn't take time to center himself and to find his daily rituals and continue them through those days before the show. So, power of mental practice. Lie down. Take yourself through the show. Walking in, setting up your equipment, going backstage, taking yourself through a few breath centering exercises, walking on stage, seeing the audience, putting on the guitar, take yourself through the first song. Sing the whole first song in your head. Don't sing it out loud, mental practice, but breathe where you would normally breathe in the song. Feel the phrases go through. Feel how you connect with the audience. Take yourself on stage, see it all in your mind's eye. That song finishes, feel the applause of the audience. Look at your set list. Oh, this is the next song. This is what I like to do in this song. And so I go over and I put my foot on the amp and, like all the things. Take yourself through. If it's an audition, same thing. Take yourself through doing that first piece. And your body will, what you're doing is you're training yourself in a situation that doesn't have any stakes at all, where you're not in the energetic zhuzh of the actual moment. You're taking yourself through the performance as though you're already doing it in your mind. You could do it a few times, and you could do it 2 to 3 times leading up to the show, a couple times that week leading up to the show. So when you get on that stage, you've already done it. It does wonders for consistency and just keeping yourself centered and your stress levels low. So that's mental practice. It's very powerful. Just, guys, the other thing is don't leave everything to the last minute either. So, that stress, that cortisol, that fight or flight, those hormones, it causes sabotage of your body and your instrument to live in that for a whole 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours before you perform. And so if you're stressed because you have left a lot of things to the last minute, whatever it may be, rehearsing, whether it's learning your lyrics, whether it's whatever the logistics of the show are in terms of tickets or promotion or any of that, or an audition, right? Plan ahead. I know this sounds kind of like duh, but really, a lot of you don't do it. Take care of those logistics so you're not scrambling in stress the day before because of those things either. Now, for the day of performance, you can experiment with various combinations of rituals and routines that draw from your regular daily practice. So if it's me and I have a show on let's say a Saturday night, I'm doing my regular daily practice that morning. So I'm getting up, I'm doing my 20-minute meditation, I'm doing my half an hour or so of vocalises, warm-ups, technique exercises, breath exercises. I'm doing whatever my other, routines are. So I like to run, I like to exercise, I like to do other things. So that's part of my routine. So I'm doing my usual daily skill set and mindset and body routine that morning, same as I always do. But because we want that routine, we want that regularity, right? We want your brain to be like, oh, it's just another day, it's just another show, it's just another audition, right? That regularity, another day at the office. That's the real power of these pre-performance routines, because if you've been doing it all along, then your mind is lulled into that routine and it just feels like every other normal non-performance day, which allows your body to stay open, relaxed, available to the sound and the technique that you have trained yourself to do. And then an hour or so before, just making sure that you carve out 15 minutes before, so if whatever the show is, whatever the logistical setup, whether it's, if you're in an opera or a musical, getting your makeup on, all the stuff that has to happen, whether you're performing a gig where you have to set up your amps and all that stuff, do all of that and make sure that you are very intentionally and mindfully going to carve yourself out like 10 to 15 minutes of no distraction time, whether you have a dressing room or whether there's a green room where you can go and you can pick one or two of your favorite of this menu of conditioning routines and rituals to do one more time. So, it might be some more vocalises, but then also I'm a really big fan of a neural warm-up, which I actually did a live on in December. You can look up, which is just tactile and helps you to center yourself. I encourage you to look it up. It involves some breath and it just really grounds you in the moment that you're in. You might have other practices. Some of you might be big into prayer. Whatever it may be, 10 to 15 minutes before you step on that stage with no distractions. Okay? And if you've been doing all the other things, if you did the mental practice during the week, if you have your daily rituals and routines that you do for your practice leading up to it, then success. But here's the big question. Are you just conditioning bad habits without knowing it? So what does that mean? So you might have a technique warm-up, but without knowing it, you might actually be conditioning and warming up bad technique habits without realizing it. You may be conditioning inefficient breath support every day without realizing it. And so we want to make sure that what you are conditioning correctly and in the best way. And so that's why having an expert is essential, okay? Because you need somebody's eyes and ears on you to make sure that the technique that you are embodying, that you are learning, is actually correct and serves you and is efficient, and that you are actually doing it the right way instead of just practicing in all the old inefficiencies and bad habits without realizing it and just continuing to condition those, because that obviously is not what we want. And so if you are sick and tired of not having that expert guidance on what you're conditioning and how you're conditioning it, right? Those are the two things that are really important. Knowing what to condition and how to condition it in the most effective, powerful way. And so if you're really sick and tired of not having eyes and ears on you and expert guidance to make sure that what you're conditioning and how you're conditioning it are working for you and that you're getting the best possible results, and you want the tools and the techniques that enable you to create great change in the outcomes of your auditions and performances and recordings, to really annihilate those bad habits that are preventing you from reliably, truly reliably accessing the full power and potential of your voice, to be able to stand out from the competition and to live a real and successful singing career. If you want the tools and the techniques that enable that to happen quickly for that transformation, then get on my calendar and book a call with me. It's the first of the year. It is time to set yourself up for success for 2024 so that you don't just keep doing the same old things that have kept you on the bench, taking A or B level gigs instead of elite level gigs that are keeping you from getting paid what you're worth, being able to quit that side job, right? Stopping you from being able to have auditions and recordings that stand out. If you're tired of that, and you're ready for the expert guidance to be able to set up the most powerful routines for yourself, for your auditions, for your performances, get on my calendar. I say this all the time. If you've been waiting, stop waiting. This is what we're the best in the world at, is helping you to succeed. Okay? It is essential that if you want different results, then you got to take different actions, create different rituals, create different and changes in your skill set and in your mindset. Because when you do that, that's when the voice in the career starts to soar. So I am going to put a link into the chat for you to be able to get on my calendar. And here you go. Let me do this. Okay. Oops. I gotta book it right. There we go. Okay, so just put it into the chat. And if you're watching on YouTube as well, it will be on the screen, on a button that you can push on the end screen of the YouTube video as well. But you guys, don't waste any more time. You know, it doesn't matter what has happened up to this point. It really doesn't. What matters the most is, what are you willing to do to change and get the results that you want? You've been spinning your wheels long enough. You know something's not working. If you're not getting the results that you want, if you are dealing with inconsistencies in your voice, if you do not trust your voice, if you deal with tension, strain, if there's issues with your range, if you are not consistent, if you are crossing your fingers and hoping that things are going to come out and sound good, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but you never really know what you did to get there, and what you would need to do to recreate that. I mean, these are the things that create stress, that create anxiety, right? And so if you know something is not working and you have been spinning your wheels long enough, then book a call with me. And on the call, I'm going to share with you the exact same strategy that I use with the singers in my intensive program to eliminate all of the mind-body sabotage, the angst, the fear, all the things that show up in these performances that are sabotaging you from the impact and the consistency, and teach you how to create the impact and the power and the consistency in your voice and in your performances that ushers in really high-level singing careers. And so I want to be really clear about who this call is for. So this call is only for serious singers who are serious about up-leveling their voice and their career, and serious about doing that right now. Like, not, oh, I'll wait till, I don't know, I have enough time, or I'll wait until June or whatever it is. No, okay? Like, this is for singers who are serious about up-leveling and serious about doing that right now. This is not for dabblers, new singers, people who just kind of want to sing better at karaoke or at their cousin's wedding. I love you. This is not for you, okay? There's other training that you can get at that point. This is for singers who are out there hustling, auditioning, recording, performing, and just not seeing the results of it in the form of the high-level career that they want, okay? And so this is also not for people who just kind of want to kick some tires and get some free advice. This is not for you either. So if you are serious about up-leveling your voice, and you're serious about your singing career, getting past the mind-body sabotage that stops you from your best sound, stops you from the performances and the auditions that bring the most successful career, and you're really serious about up-leveling and doing that right now, then click on the link in the Facebook chat or after this video on the YouTube video and get on my call calendar. Book a call with me. It's free. It's free because I want you guys to know that there is a different way to train. And you don't have to continue to be putting time and energy and money into something that has not been working for you, okay? And so if we get on the call and we'll talk for about 45 minutes, we'll talk about what's working, what's not working. If we're fit to work together, great, I will show you what that looks like. If not, that's okay too. I'll point you in another direction that's a better fit for you. So we're going to talk on the call about the things that are sabotaging your performances, why perhaps if you don't have a pre-performance routine, what's up with that? Do you not know what goes into that? Do you not have a good technique practice? Do you not understand what goes into a mindset practice? Or maybe you do, but it's not been working for you, and we're going to talk about what's been getting in your way and the gap between where you are and where you want to go with your singing, with your voice and your career, and how it's affecting you, how it's affecting your life, how it's affecting your earning potential, how it's affecting not just your technique and your sound, but the trajectory of what you want to create in your life and in your career. And so Plus, I also know that you might want my help to transform those kinds of things. And if so, we can discuss it. And if it's a good fit for both of us, then we can talk about it and talk about what that is and move forward. And if not, like I said, it's fine. That's totally fine as well. So click the link, book a call with me. Let's set you up to succeed in 2024 so that you don't waste another year on the sidelines of your voice and of your career. Okay, everybody. Mwah, mwah. Happy Monday. And I will see you soon. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode. If you want to subscribe, click the link right over there that says subscribe. And if you want to book a breakthrough session with me, which you absolutely should do, then click the link right over here that says book a call to schedule an appointment to speak with us. I'll see you on the next episode.